Well, good evening, everybody. This is the update on extremely dangerous Hurricane Laura bearing down on the extreme eastern coast of Texas and the southwestern coast of Louisiana. Before I begin, I just want to share a verse. Psalm 85:7 says this: Show us your steadfast love, O Lord, and grant us your salvation. And that's our prayer for those that are still in the path that did not evacuate in the path of this storm, and we just pray that God will grant them his salvation. So, taking a look at the water vapor loop, we can see the classic pinwheel of the hurricane, classic Category 4 loop. I want to show you the upper level low that we've been talking about sitting up here now in central Oklahoma. This is the savior of the Houston Galveston area. If this system had not been there, this would have made a beeline for the central or southeastern Texas coast, and we would be staring down the barrel of this monster. So you can see a little bit of what we call ridging here. I'll point that out to you. You can see it. Let's see if I can stop the loop actually. You can actually see it pointed out right here. That is called a ridge of high pressure. This is gradually moving out of the way and moving to the east, and that is what is allowing Laura to make that turn to the northwest and north-northwest this evening. And we can see the outflow channel set up, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I've had some questions as to why this has strengthened so rapidly, and I'm going to answer those questions at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Taking a look at the true color visible imagery, you can see just in weather terms, this is a beautiful imagery, beautiful picture. I know it's a devastating hurricane, but it is a classic Category 4 hurricane when you can just definitely stare all the way down to the ocean floor from the satellite and see the what we call mesovortices swirling around in the center of the storm there. One second. Let me go to the IR here and let that load. There it goes. We can see that we have a classic donut shape here. We have cold cloud tops all the way around. And one thing I want to point out is that we seem to be undergoing what we call an eye wall replacement cycle. If you look very carefully, we can see that the eye is slowly but surely shrinking. And that is the sign of a strengthening hurricane. And that is not good news, because we would have wanted to actually see this occur a little bit further out. We would hope that this would have occurred earlier today, but it did not. This is the update from the Hurricane Center. I can't actually show that to you guys. So I'm going to read it off. The 6 o'clock update says that maximum sustained winds are still estimated at about 145 miles an hour. The pressure is 947 millibars, and the system is 130 miles to the south of Lake Charles, Louisiana, or 130 miles south-southeast of Port Arthur, Texas, and it is moving to the northwest at about 15 miles an hour, and tropical storm force winds are starting to show up along the Louisiana coastline with some of these bands, and I'm going to show you that right now. We have the radar outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana. I put a dot here at the beginning of the loop to show you the movement. A good friend of mine messaged me and it's like, hey, when's this thing going to turn? Well, it has finally made that turn. It did take its own sweet time in doing so, but you can see, looking at where I put the dot at the beginning of the loop, it has now made that turn and is headed straight for Cameron Parish, Louisiana. Looks like it's going to come in just a little bit east of the river. GFS model did good, and some of the hurricane models did good on predicting this southwest Louisiana landfall. Looks like Lake Charles is going to get a direct hit. You can definitely see the eye wall here on the radar. And if I pause this, I want to point out something to you all. It looks like the eye wall is not intact here on the southern end, but I can promise you that it is. And the reason why it looks like it's not is because the radar beam is just not able to penetrate these heavy squalls of the of all the heavy rainfall. So if we look here, this is what we call the echo tops of the system here, and we can see that if we look at the echo tops here, we can see that we have a good donut here for the storm. It's just a one complete donut here. So I wanted to show you that. The other thing I want to show you guys over in the Houston, Galveston area, you can see we're not going to get a lot out of this. As I've been showing some of you, we're just not going to get a lot. If one of these feeder bands breaks off as it gets closer to the coast, we may get some gusts of tropical storm force over in the Galveston, Houston area. But other than that, probably not going to get a whole lot. So taking a look at the briefing, the track, I imagine this is going to get shifted a little bit to the east, but pretty set here on Cameron Parish and a Lake Charles landfall. And I went ahead and put some wind tags here as the system comes inland. This is the winds that we're looking at. I would imagine that this is a little underdone for Lake Charles. It's showing winds to near 100 miles an hour. Orange is showing winds of about 110. I imagine this is a little overdone for the orange area. It's probably not going to be that strong, maybe around 100, gust to 100 or so. Lake Charles is probably going to be a little higher, maybe over 100. And then you can see the winds are around 120 miles an hour. I would imagine these will be slightly higher along the coast, especially since they're calling for a landfall intensity now of 150 miles an hour. The other thing I wanted to show you real quick too, you can see the winds here up in Newton, Jasper County, up into the 60, 70 mile an hour range. As this system moves up, these winds are going to be higher. Again, the real threat here is the winds. This is a wind event, not a rain event. The next thing I want to show you, I posted about this earlier, is the Calcasieu River in Lake Charles. The historic crests here, 13 foot and then 11 foot in Ike. But the 13-foot crest was in 1913, and at 13 foot, over half of the city of Lake Charles is flooded. They are forecasting a 15.6-foot crest now for the Calcasieu River. I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping that this system is going to track a little bit east and you won't get that extreme southerly fetch right up the Calcasieu River, that you'll get more of an easterly fetch and not a southerly fetch. And so what I'm hoping and praying is that you will not get that 15-foot crest, that it will be slightly less than that. You won't get that perfect surge with that southerly surge right up the river, that you're going to get more of an easterly surge. And so that's what I'm thinking right now, is that it hopefully will not be that high. This is the storm surge forecast right now, 15 to 20 foot, and you can see the Calcasieu Lake, 15 to 20 foot. Rainfall forecast, again, not going to be a huge rain event, looking for 6 to 10 inches. This is going to be a very fast mover. And as I showed you in the radar, it's not a huge rain shield either. And the potential storm surge flooding, I showed you guys in the earlier video how to get a hold of this. And as we look at the Lake Charles area, this is a little deceiving. I've got two maps here. The top map here is Lake Charles. The bottom map here is Orange. And a lot of the city of Orange could experience a surge of 3 foot. However, if it goes a little bit further east, I think this may be overplayed, honestly, because you're going to actually get an offshore wind rather than an onshore wind. So we'll have to see how that actually plays out. Now, remember we had those questions about why was this able to strengthen as rapidly as it did. So I want to answer that question now. First of all, this is not that unusual. This actually does occur every few years or so, where we have a storm that just goes what we call go to town. It just goes to town. It rapidly deepens. It explosively deepens. It's not unheard of, and no, it is not global warming. So if you hear that on the news, mute it, change the channel. This has been occurring. Hurricane Camille did this, and pretty much for the same exact reason. That was 1969. Storms have been doing this since there have been storms. So the first thing I want to show you is one of the reasons why is there's a lot of energy out here. And I pointed this out in one of the videos last week. You can see what we call TCHP. This is Tropical Cyclone Heat Potential. You can think of this, guys, especially you guys, and gals, if you're into cars, as your octane. You have regular unleaded, you have premium unleaded, and just think of this as octane. Everybody talks about sea surface temperatures, but that is not the whole story. The whole story is TCHP, and that is heat potential, and that is how much energy is in the ocean. You can have a 90-degree temperature of your ocean, but if it's only 10 foot deep and then it really rapidly cools, as soon as you start splashing waves around, you're going to average and you're going to mix that cooler ocean temperature that's right below the sea, the surface of the sea, and you're going to rapidly cool. And matter of fact, you can see that in this this really cold spot here. This is what happened when Marco went over. All right, but we can see that we have a loop current right over to the east of where Marco went over and cooled this area. This is where Marco was a hurricane, so stronger winds cooled this area. But this is going to mix it around. It's going to warm it up, and I would imagine this cold bubble here will be gone within a week. However, Laura did not move over that. Had Laura moved a little bit further north, she would not be doing what she's doing now. She moved over this relatively warmer area, and anytime you get above about a 50, you have plenty of energy available to be a Cat 4 hurricane. And as you can see, the energy that's available in the Northwest Caribbean Sea is massive. It is a massive amount of energy. It is literally off the top of the chart. So the next thing that you need is you need a low shear environment. This is what we call the 850 to 200 millibar shear chart. And we can see that we have an upper level low to the southeast of Laura. And this is from earlier today. And we have an approaching shortwave trough to the northwest of Laura. And we have a jet stream. Now, this is a perfect scenario for explosive deepening when you have plenty of warm water and you have a low shear environment. So if we can go back now and look at our satellite imagery, you can see this played out. You have this you have this upper level low, which is providing a place for the evacuation of air. And you have this jet stream, which is providing for an evacuation of air. And anytime you get this, you get what we have going on with Laura right now. This is always available in the tropics during hurricane season. It's always there. The question is, do you have a storm there to take advantage of it? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. This happened with Hurricane Michael a couple of years ago. It was there. Hurricane Michael took advantage of it. It happens all the time in the tropics. This is not that unusual. It's just unusual in a sense that sometimes when they're this close to the coast and we don't have this time for an eye wall cycle to take effect, and the storm would then go through an eye wall cycle. The eye would contract, it would weaken a little bit, and then take a little bit of time to get its act back together. So it is just a perfect scenario and a worst case scenario. So I'm taking a look real quick, guys, at Recon. The Recon is flying out there right now, but they are just unfortunately, oh, wow. So I'm looking at the Recon. And matter of fact, let's see if I can switch this over. Yes, I can. So there's the recon. It's not going to allow me to allow you guys to see my pop-up windows, but you can see the plane is out there right now. And this right here, you can't see that, but that they are showing wind speeds there of about 150 miles an hour. So at the surface. So I would imagine to see a little bit of an upgrade here at the 7 o'clock advisory. We'll see what it finds as it gets out a little closer to the center. So until tomorrow, I probably will just be posting some updates. But I appreciate you guys. Again, if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. And until tomorrow, may God richly bless you.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this edition of Agape Lifecast. And whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I ask that you do me a favor. Please like the video and share it. And if you haven't already done so, please like the Agape Lifecast Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, may God richly bless you and keep you.